Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So it's Sunday evening. The new week is about to start. What's going to happen with Bitcoin? I'm going to share some thoughts, but I thought it was also a good time to talk about a few altcoins that are great buys. I mean, right now, honestly, most altcoins they're down 20, 30%, but there are some that have amazing things going on. So I'm going to talk about what they are. So, as always, smash on the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. If you weren't stuck on your portfolio or your phone all weekend, maybe you had a chance to go out. So let's get started. 49,000 right now, right? So you can see ever since this fall, we've been just holding here. But there are some good news for this week. For example, number one, Dow futures, the equities market, futures across the board are in the green. So again, there's a little bit scare from, the new variant, possibly what Jerome Powell is going to say. There's a few other things, but it looks like traders are trying to shake it off. Of course, we are in December, but you could see that there's a lot of talk about Bitcoin. Headline news up here. Bitcoin's weekend rout. So there are, and here we go. Bitcoin holds steady above 50,000. So a lot of eyes are on Bitcoin right now. Okay, so what is going to happen? Well, looking at how we just sold off, we had a little bit of a dip, and then this morning I explained, hopefully you guys caught it, why I'm always bullish, but there are short-term reasons why I'm bullish. But one of them is, we are in December, Christmas rally, Santa rally, and the fundamentals just keep getting better, right? I mentioned those things already, but other things I started to look at, like if you look at whale alerts, look at tens of millions of dollars being transferred by the whales into the exchanges. For example, $30 million transferred to Binance, $30 million transferred to Huobi. Here's $78 million of XRP being transferred to BitHum. I'm not sure that's good for XRP. But you could see $20 million going into OKX, right? So there's a lot of whale movements also. And most of them are transferred into exchanges. And here's another one, just updated. 35 minutes ago, $52 million from the Tether treasury to Binance. Where do you think... or what do you think that's going to be used for, right? Straight from Tether to Binance. So there's a lot of money being transferred to the exchanges right now, which makes me feel like, yes, we will get a good recovery this week. Along with the equities market, it does seem like it is coming. So that's good. But also, on a grander scale, right, a lot of patterns and fractal patterns still being thrown out there. And here's one comparing 2013, 2017, and 2021 using Fibonacci levels, looking at retracement levels. And again, you'll find very, very close similarities, right? Despite the fact, the dollar amount's not the same, the environment's not the same, but there are a lot of similarities. So these kind of things, and here's another one that shows exactly the breakout point for Bitcoin, and that is right around where Bitcoin was, around 68, 70,000, right? So there's a lot of similarities there. So I know that traders will always try to find patterns that mimic previous cycles, but what I'm really concentrating on, and that's what I explained this morning, is the fundamentals. And the fundamentals of Bitcoin just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better if you just pay attention to what is going on around the world with countries, with some of the biggest banks out there, with institutions, with financial companies, financial apps. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and I don't have that gigantic list with me from just November. So that's what I'm concentrating on. I believe in Bitcoin, I believe in holding, and I believe it will continue forward. All right, so that's short term with Bitcoin. What's going on with altcoins? What's going on with these great buys? Well, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of great buys right now. Over the last few days, a lot of things came down. Some are down 10, 20, 30%. But not everything is down 10, 20, 30%. In fact, if you go back 7 days, well, you look at Ethereum, it's barely down, only 3.5%. So Lana's only down 4%. And something like Luna is up 30%. Polygon is up 18%, right? So not everything have sold off drastically. Not everything is a bargain buy, but there are some good ones. So let me talk about them and some of these ones I'm going to bring up. First of all, I don't have like 100 projects. And you guys know I do like a lot of projects. So I'm just going to bring up some that's pretty relevant right now. But some of these, they're not really sold off at all. But I just feel like there's just a lot of things going on, or there's something special that may help it in the short term. Okay. Now, the first one I want to talk about, no surprise, is Ethereum. And there's a lot of people talking about Ethereum right now. And that's because people are noticing that Ethereum is holding very, very, very well against Bitcoin. In fact, you could argue that during these corrections, Ethereum has been stronger, that it hasn't been going down as much, and it seems to be outpacing Bitcoin at this time. Well, there's a reason for that. But you got to be careful because we have seen this before. But right now, of course, I think most of you guys know there's a couple big reasons. Number one is the burning continues to go on. The last time I showed this, we were barely above 4 billion. Now we're coming to 4.7 billion. So more and more is being burned. But besides that, you got to look at the total value locked of entire ecosystem Ethereum, and that's 164 billion. More than all other L1s combined, right? So you have a lot of money, a lot of crypto staked into these projects, DEXs and their yield pools, right? Their liquidity pools, I should say. Also these lending platforms. So and of course play to earn games and NFTs. There's a lot of ETH that's locked in there. Of course, you have the beacon chain. So I've explained all this before, but I'm going to show you guys something that I've never shown before. And that is the ETH to BTC ratio. So this is why I warn you guys, you got to be careful because we have seen this before, but it is looking like it's still ongoing. And what is this? This is comparing ETH to BTC, not ETH to the dollar, which I usually show. And most people show ETH to the dollar. But I'm showing ETH to BTC, and you could see back in 2017, ETH did go on a tremendous run, and this is the ratio between the two, and it went up as high as 0.157. Then, towards 2018, the very first week of 2018, when it shot up again, it got as high as 0.12. Now you could see that ETH is gaining ever since about end of December of 2019. Since that point, so it's been over a year, ETH dominance has been going up, and it just broke through a recent high, so it's sitting around 0.085, okay? And if this continues, ETH dominance will continue to go up and gain on Bitcoin. This is why so many people are noticing, well, ETH is holding so well right now versus Bitcoin. And if you apply some indicators to it, for example, like RSI, you can see previous peaks, right? They're kind of coming down a little bit. Previous peaks versus recent peak. And you could see that RSI did not peak out, did not hit this level. MACD is actually flipping over. I know this is a little technical, but I just want to show you guys and make a point that ETH dominance right now is gaining on Bitcoin. But why? You have to be careful, and why you don't just say, hey, I'm switching all Bitcoin all to Ethereum. And I've made this mistake before too, and I got called out on it, because there are times where ETH dominance does go up, and then all of a sudden it falls right back down, okay? But in 2021 and going into 2022, It's different because in 2017 and 2013, well, it didn't exist in 2013, but in 2017, everything was speculation. DeFi was out, but no one used it. Okay? NFTs were out. No one bought it. Metaverses didn't really exist, right? So these things were just in their infancy. And you could argue we're still in the infancy of these things, but these things obviously have grown much bigger, which is making Ethereum stronger and stronger each and every day. So there is a chance that ETH dominance will continue to go up and hold and never come back down. But there's also a good chance that it will hit at some level, some point, and come back down too, especially if they can't scale and competitors start eating away at Ethereum. But right now, it does look like Ethereum dominance is going to continue upwards, and that's a great reason why you should be stocking up on Ethereum, right? And you could see, I just made mention about the last 7 days, Ethereum is barely down 4% versus 15% for Bitcoin, right? And if you go back 1 year, there's a big difference. Again, this is not me saying switch out all your Bitcoin for Ethereum. No, don't do that. But if you're not holding on some Ethereum, I think it's a mistake. All right, so that's number one. Just want to cover Ethereum. Number two, I have to talk about Cardano and Sunday Swap. So I'm getting mixed messages here. First of all, the team really screwed up on a time. And I made note of this yesterday. And ever since they tweeted out, yeah, this was going to be on Sunday night, they never gave a specific time. So half of these comments are from people that are like, so when is it starting, right? So I don't even know exactly when it started, but it did start. And I saw some messages, or at least tweets, saying that, they had some TADA error and it wasn't finding it, or there's some kind of error with it. I don't know if that has been resolved. So it's obviously it's a work in progress. It's a test net, but a lot of eyes are on this. So I have seen some tweets saying it works. Okay, so it's kind of like half right now, right? And let's see where this goes. It's not a complete failure, but it's not a complete success either. So if this turns out to be good, let's say the testing continues and they fix their issues and everything is good. Remember, they also said that Cardano's network is not fully, in terms of the CPU and the resources, CPU, memory, and disk is not completely activated. It's not completely open. So as they scale, they will scale those things. So it's a really collaborative thing that is going on. But if this continues on and it deems to be successful, I think this will be a huge thing for Cardano. But it is ongoing, and I don't actually know how long it's going to last. I hope it lasts as long as it takes until they decide whether or not it's working. But I do think this is going to be a big thing. Now, something else besides Sunday Swap for Cardano, there is something else that's very interesting and plays into all these like metaverses that I will be talking about. But there is one project that's within the Cardano ecosystem called Pavia, and I saw this interesting. They actually do have a piece of land in Decentraland. And people have been offering them money for this, but they just revealed that no, they're not going to sell. Well, that's no surprise. But two, is they plan on deploying a portal into Pavia. And what is Pavia? Well, Pavia is a Decentraland for Cardano. They are building a metaverse. And this is mind-blowing if they can accomplish this, that they could actually have a portal within Decentraland where players can actually go in and come out and have another representative of their Decentraland avatar and have a Pavia avatar. I mean, it blows my mind. I don't know what they're going to do. If they can successfully do that, it will be ground shattering. So I think Pavia has potential. I don't know how far along they are, but if they could get this going and Cardano could get into the metaverse space, that's huge. That's huge. So this is another reason why I think Cardano is a good pickup, besides the fact that they're down 50% from their highs. 55% to be exact. They've been oversold. Sunday Swap and DEX is still being worked on. They're not the only ones that's working towards that. But number two, they're getting into metaverses, which is really good, but all hinders on if projects could figure out how to use their smart contracts. So there you go. But eventually they'll go figure it out. All right, so number two, so Cardano, Ethereum. All right, so I mentioned two. Next up, let's talk about some metaverses, okay? We know that metaverses are insane right now. Over 106 million virtual lands last week alone. Not last month, not last year, last week, okay? So, of course, a lot of people have been talking about Sandbox. And look at this. Snoop Dogg owns a piece of real estate in Sandbox, but the land adjacent to his just sold for $450,000. So this is really, people are treating virtual land like real estate, real estate, right? So people are starting to look at brands and celebrities, where they are, and they're buying up the land around them, just like in real life. I remember when I went to Disneyland before, and the tour guy was saying exactly the same thing, like how when Disneyland opened, everyone bought all the land around it because they want to charge Disney an arm and a leg for it, right? That is exactly what's happening right now. It's really, really wild. But Sandbox is one of the projects I do like. They have sold off recently because they've gone up so much. But I think Sandbox is definitely a good pickup while they're weak, because they are not going to go away, and they're only building upon the momentum right now. And they just released their alpha recently. But a project that I haven't talked about much besides Sandbox and Decentraland is Axie Infinity, because Axie Infinity also have land for sale. And just recently, they had one sell for $2.4 million. So Axie Infinity, even though they're a play-to-earn game, not the same as Sandbox and Decentraland, but they have their virtual land and they are worth a lot. And people are making a ton of money by just playing Axie. This is the biggest difference, because Axie Infinity is actually a game, and you can actually earn things while playing the game, right? And there is a user, and happens to be an ex-Goldman Sachs banker, that quit their job and decided to play Axie Infinity full time, and they realized that they can make more by playing Axie, which is around $82,000 a year, than what he earned at Goldman Sachs. And this shows you why they are so popular, because the economy is just so good. And there's many players in Asia, especially in poor developing countries. I mean, they're making more than what they could ever make in their own, in their country and with their job. So this is one of the reasons why Axie continues to hold very well. They did sell off recently because of what happened. So I think it's a pretty good buying opportunity, 22%. And here's the kicker: that Goldman Sachs ex-banker is now launching a 1.5 billion crypto fund. And guess where that money is going to go into? Mostly, I shouldn't say mostly, but a lot of it in metaverses, right? So there are a lot of funds. This is part of the fundamentals I was talking about. A lot of funds with a lot of cash that are looking to invest, and they're looking to invest in crypto projects like Sandbox, like Axie Infinity, like Decentraland, and maybe even Pavia, because of how early we are with metaverses, and just because it's growing, right? So Axie Infinity is another one. Now, moving on, what about non-metaverses, right? Although these are non-metaverses, they have to deal with them too. I talked about Terra. I just did a whole piece on them, right? They continue to go up and up and up, and finally they took a breather, but they have gone up a lot recently, mostly because they're coin burning. In fact, they were the only project in green when we were coming down the last few days. Now, Terra, I'm not going to go into all the details again, but one of the big reasons why they're going up is because they have a ton of Terra to be burned. It's not complete yet. They're still doing it. And if you look at the circulating supply, it keeps still going down. And this is because they need to mint new Terra USD. However, I just got done talking about metaverses, well, Terra also is going to have metaverses too. I found this one, Terra World, which is the very first meta place for working services. Powered by Terra, provides distinct remote work environments for businesses. So this is interesting how, a lot of people are working from home. So this is actually a metaverse for companies so that employees can work in virtual offices. So just think about that. Instead of showing up and doing Zoom meetings, now you're navigating your little avatars through the world and actually joining in on meetings that way. I just find this really, really hilarious. But anyways, when you have metaverses like this or just new dApps like this, that's causing a lot of excitement on top of a chain like Terra, which is blowing up with not only DeFi, but games and NFTs, well, it's going to help in the long run. So Terra, right now, I think they're still a good buy, even though they're pretty high. But I did tell you guys yesterday, wait for it to come down, wait for it to stable out, right? Well, it's down a good amount today. Could be a good pickup point, but I like Terra a lot. And the last thing I want to say about Terra is, if you look at their TVL, it has shot up to the moon recently, and they are sitting at number 3, right behind Binance. All right, now moving on. What else is there? Well, what's under Binance is Avalanche. And Avalanche has sold off recently, and I do think they're a good pickup because look at this. They're also in metaverses or play-to-earn games. So it's official, one of the hottest play-to-earn games that started on Harmony and really carried Harmony forward is now coming to Avalanche. And what's cool about this is they're creating a brand new realm. So there's one that's for Harmony. Now there's one for Avalanche, and they're launching a new Crystal token too. But this shows you that Avalanche ecosystem continues to grow. Not only do they have a ton of TVL, which they're number 4 right now, right? But they're also serious about getting into metaverse and play-to-earn games, which of course will, I think, make a big impact on them. And what's better about this is, well, here's DeFi Kingdoms. What's better about this is because right now, if you look at Avalanche, unlike Terra, which has been going up for, to the moon, Avalanche is still sitting at number 13, but they sold off a good amount this week, 25%. They were very, 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 very hot the weeks before. They sold off a little bit, so this is actually a really good pickup in my opinion. I really like Avalanche ever since I discovered what they're doing. They also have coin burning, but not nearly as much as Ethereum or Luna, a little bit, but they have a set supply, coin burning, and their ecosystem continues to grow. Oh, by the way, I did want to mention, I know why I brought this up, because DeFi Kingdoms is a play-to-earn game that's pretty popular, right? So there's a lot of games like this out there, but you know what? One of the things that my team that I newly constructed recently, right, is building out a lot of useful resources for people such as this. This is a research paper on DeFi Kingdom, one of many, and it's a pretty good one, right? And every week, my team will come out with research papers like this, and this goes beyond just regular articles that you see, but it's really comprehensive yet easy to read. And it's part of the new Patreon that I don't talk a lot about, but a lot of you guys are Patreon members. I just want to mention real quick because I'm revamping the whole thing, giving a lot more benefits to members, and research papers is one of them. So if you're interested, check it out. All right, now what else is there? I got to talk about Polygon, and we'll talk about them real quick because I do like Polygon quite a lot. I think they're layer 2 turned layer 1, meaning that they were meant to be scaling Ethereum, but now they have their own vast ecosystem, right? But they do have this big summit that's coming up this week, December 9th. It's a ZK summit. ZK is usually for privacy, but you could also use it to scale. And there's many attendants, including Vitalik, that may be making some big announcement. Okay, who knows what's going to be announced? Coinbase might announce their NFT marketplace during this conference. Maybe Ethereum, talks about some kind of official partnership with Polygon. I don't know, but there could be big stuff coming. So I just want to warn you guys, not warn you guys, tell you guys proactively that maybe there is something that's coming up. So pay attention. But even outside of this, even if nothing was mentioned or nothing is going to be mentioned, Polygon is a fantastic ecosystem. Their TVL continues to grow and their ecosystem continues to grow. There's a lot of major NFT marketplaces riding on top of Polygon right now, and many dApps too that just keeps moving to them. All right, now besides Polygon, another one is Enjin. I think a lot of people overlook Enjin, and they have sold off. I think Enjin sold off a lot more than Polygon. But Enjin, of course, they're growing their new chain, Infinity chain, that will become a Polkadot parachain, right? And of course, they're very involved with metaverses, play-to-earn games, NFTs, tokenization, anything you could think of. And they've been doing it for years. They were one of the only ones that did it in 2017. It's just that no one paid attention. But in 2021, obviously, people are paying attention now, right? And they are right in the smack middle of it. And they do have a large $100 million fund that they are using to entice dApp makers to come aboard. So this will be a big thing for them. So this week they did sell off a little bit. I think it's a great opportunity to pick up right now. All right, now last project I want to talk about is Elrond. Elrond sold off this week, mostly because the week before it went up a lot, but I think they're down like 30% this week. Yeah, 30%. There's absolutely no reason for Elrond to be down 30%. So they are doing really, really well ever since they came out their Mayor decks, right? Kind of like Cardano, they want to come out with their decks. But unlike Cardano, Elrond already did, and it's very successful, and it works. So they came out with their decks. Immediately, they locked in almost, actually more than $2 billion. Recently, because of the decline, it kind of came down to 1.35, but almost, it seems like overnight, they locked in $2 billion in TVL. And TVL is important because when you have people staking, right, their EGLD into these liquidity pools, it kind of just locks it in there. So that is fantastic. So that happened, right? And of course, this is the very first one, but they also have their launch pad. So they're launching this Hollow Ride, which is the very first, and it happens to deal with metaverses. So metaverses, of course, you're seeing a recurring theme here. Almost everyone's trying to get in. But Elrond, not only are they launching their very first in-car metaverse, but their launch pad is also active and running, and that's very positive. And, speaking of metaverses, one project a lot of you guys know of, Blocktopia, which has like 21 stories, and you could buy a story, and, this is like a virtual building. Guess what? Elrond bought the very first floor. So they bought the very first floor, and they're going to be the anchor tenant, and it's going to be their virtual headquarters where all players spawn. Interesting. Even though Blocktopia is launching on a Polygon network, right? Again, this is why Polygon is so good and why I like them. But Elrond is taking up the very first floor, so everyone that launches in this building, well, I'm sure we'll see Elrond signage everywhere. So they are definitely making themselves involved with metaverses. So I like Elrond too. I think there's no reason why they should have sold off 30%, but now that they have, great buying opportunity. All right, those are the ones I want to mention. Like I said at the beginning, it's not the end-all be-all list. There's a lot of good projects out there that have a lot of things going on, but some of them didn't sell off nearly as much, and some of them just, there's not a whole lot of news right now. For example, I know some of you guys I'm watching are asking about Crypto.com, right? Right now, there's not a whole lot of news, but that's because they announced a whole bunch of stuff already, right? With their NFT marketplace, with commercials like with Matt Damon, they bought the Staples Center, the rights to it, and there's a lot of things going. So something like CRO is also a great buy. I just didn't point that out today. But also another one that, two of them actually, Chainlink. A lot of people ask about Chainlink, what's going on. And one of my guys, brought this up to me. if you look at the RSI for Chainlink, it is at the most oversold level it's ever been in the history of Chainlink. That's how oversold it is right now, right? So that's a pretty compelling case. But Chainlink is the biggest oracle. I've said that. No one comes close. And they have their new CCIP bridging mechanism, which a lot of projects are looking to utilize. So they're also good. Of course, VeChain, whenever they go down, I'm going to talk about VeChain because I still believe in them and their future. Cosmos is another one. I mean, there's just a lot. Phantom is another one that sold off quite a lot this week. And many other metaverses like Gala. I didn't mention Decentraland. Helium is another one. Flow is another one, right? There's just a lot of stuff. Harmony, I just got done talking about DeFi Kingdoms. Harmony also sold off quite a bit. These are all fantastic buys, but I think the ones I talked about, they're a little better buy at this point. All right, guys, I said a lot there. Now let's do some Q&A. Although I don't have any water with me, I forgot. All right. Scrolling up. Marissa, I appreciate that. Would you sell Matic and buy back in the bear market or just hold it for 3 years? For me, I'm just going to hold it. You just don't know. There's still a lot of room left to grow. I like to remind you guys we're still early in December. A lot of things could still happen, but even when we move in 2022, there's just still a lot of room to grow. And like I said, when you have the fundamentals getting better each and every day through metrics, through adoption, through investments, I mean, it's hard to see that we're going to go through the same bear market like before. It's really hard to see that. So, is it bad to convert my Chainlink to Avalanche or Polygon, just trying to maximize gains? It really depends on, well, I just got done saying Chainlink is extremely oversold right now, so it could be their opportunity to bounce back. But if you're too heavy into Chainlink and you want to diversify into Avalanche or Polygon, then I think that's not a bad idea, right? It just depends on if you're too heavy into it or not. All right, Zaid, I answered the question about CRO. NMP, welcome, new member. Appreciate your support. All right, what else is there? Collins Gang says, everyone in here is awesome. I appreciate that. Ernie says, I'm so tired of dips. Get used to them because there will always be dips. Get tired of the fact that you don't have extra money on the side. That's what you should try to solve. You can't solve dips. There will always be dips. But dips are not a bad thing if you could take advantage of them, right? This is why I was saying for the past few months now that as Bitcoin makes new highs, I'm going to start setting a schedule for myself to take profits. Why? Because I don't know where top is. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know the exact dollar amount, right? But I want to make sure I have a good amount of cash on the side. So if we do have dips, I could take advantage. And I told you guys yesterday, I took advantage of the dip, right? So when you could take advantage, but doesn't mean you have to go all in, even just, a little bit, or you just hodl. That's better than panic selling. Lots of ADA live video scams today, probably because of Sunday swap, right? Unfortunately, YouTube's algorithm can't really detect what's a real live stream like mine versus a fake one. It's a hard problem to solve, but the best thing is if you see one of those live scam interviews with Michael Saylor or Charles or whatever, it's a scam because they're asking you to send ETH in. Make sure you report it because it's hard for YouTube to get them sometimes. All right. Well, Mike says, I see extended market. That could certainly be the case. Will Phantom rise up again? Yes, it will. People are asking about multi-vac. I don't know. Well, I got a report. I mentioned about these research reports, right? I got one about multi-vac. Seems promising, but I don't know. They're like another sharding project. So they claim they're more secure and they're well backed, but they haven't gotten the momentum they need to really go up. What Shiba's future look like? Well, like all these other projects, they need to get, well, they have a DEX which is good, but they need to get more liquidity in there, and they need to build it up and build up the NFT marketplace, which I know they're releasing, right? But they're also working on bridges. That's good. So basically, Sheep's future is bright if they continue to execute, just like any other layer 1 out there. So if they continue to do so, then they will be fine. And plus, the thing I still think that's going to come is the Robinhood edition. Even though Robinhood is trying to pretend like they don't need Sheep, but they really do. Are we going to enter paintball ass? Are we going to enter a bear market, or are we still in bull run? Bull run, in my opinion. In my opinion, what do you think about Radical? I don't know about Radical. I'm pretty sure I've seen this project. I just don't remember what it is. Code collaboration plus Web3. Open source development. Collaborate peer-to-peer for a good platform. Easily share your code without relying on a third party. So this is like decentralized GitHub, right? The thing is, I mean, honestly, like a project like this is probably pretty good. And it's probably useful to developers. However, for the vast majority of people, they're not developers and they don't really care about that, right? So that's the problem with a project like Radical. But I have seen it before. It reminds me. It looks pretty decent. Spell. Now the metaverse that has done really bad since early November. They just really lost all momentum. There's no abracadabra money. Spellbook allows users to produce magic internet money. Yeah, that just sounds wrong. You could borrow magic internet money, which is stablecoin that allows you to swap for any other traditional stablecoin. Formula is straightforward, collateral in, proof, stablecoin. Okay, so they're a DeFi project. I'm going to say no. No. You don't need DeFi projects to look like a game. Ever heard of XRP Veil YouTuber? I'm not. I don't really keep up with XRP YouTubers. I know there's a lot out there. I mean, XRP Army, I guess, is strong because there's channels that's just only dedicated to XRP, which is really insane in my opinion. Brandon asked about UFO. I did notice UFO also sold off quite a bit. It was very hyped up, sold off. I think there's potential there, but I need to do more research. I'm going to get one of my team members to do a UFO research paper. So again, if you guys missed it, there's going to be a lot of research papers. There's already about a dozen out there on my Patreon channel. But if you guys want to learn more, and it's besides, it's not just research papers. There's more insight from me. There's collaboration on a private Discord channel, and there's weekly newsletters. There's just a lot of things going on. So if you guys are interested, it's a totally new revamped Patreon. Wantas message retracted, so I don't know what you said. Okay, someone said that. Devin, hey, appreciate that. Hey, a couple new members, Cody, John, and someone else I already mentioned. What is Hedera? Been hearing it recently. It's just another layer 1, but it's not open source. But they do have impressive number of impressive council members, which is kind of like the decision makers. They do have several big ones, and they're doing okay overall. But it's just they're not open sourced, so not really for me. Sunday Swap testnet has not launched yet. The issue was Tesla ADA faucet that gives out coins for all testnet. Nothing to do with Sunday Swap. Millions of ADA will be on the DEX. It's not launched yet. Okay, I guess we have to wait and see what's wrong with the test faucet. So people couldn't get their TADA. Is that what it is? So who's running the faucet? Is it Sunday Swap or IOHK? Gotta see. Gotta see. What are short-term, mid-term thoughts on VeChain? Long-term, very, very bullish. Short-term or mid-term, I think they need more consumer-based apps. They need more DEXs. They need more yield pools to lock into liquidity, which is why some of these projects that just released it have done so well. And they need more. They need a de facto NFT marketplace, which I've suggested to the team before. Because I work with Vimwar, one of the only projects that's on VeChain. And Jackson's very, very close to Sunny. I suggested, hey, we need to suggest that, we need to come out with an NFT marketplace for VeChain, which Vimworld is trying to do, but I think they need something different, like a really robust one. And of course, get more games and more DeFi, really just things that get people really excited about. Because right now they're B2B mostly, which is they're the biggest, I would say, by far, but there's not a lot of consumer stuff. Paper, a little bit too small for me to check out. Did I cover Gala? Yes, I covered them in terms of they have been sold off, oversold. So I do think that they could be a good pickup. Overall, I do like what they're doing. They're just, their gaming platform. They sound like a gaming platform that's releasing a lot of play to earn games, but they're simple games. They're not huge metaverse type games. They're like, cute little games. But, I think they're developing beyond that. And they do have their own marketplace, their NFT marketplace. So overall, I think Gala is doing good, but they shot up so much recently. What's this new exchange that ICX Icon is launching? I don't know. I didn't know. I have not kept up with Icon, so I can't tell you. But I know they rebranded themselves. They're more like a complete L1 rather than like a digital ID play for South Korea. So I'll have to look into it. Sounds exciting. Litecoin and Ethereum Classic. Yeah, I'm not a fan of neither one. Litecoin can't catch up to Bitcoin no matter what they do. And Ethereum Classic, they can't even secure their network. Non-stop 51% attacks. And Charles really wants them to create a treasury and then he could take over. There is a relationship with IOHK and Ethereum Classic, but it seems like Charles wants to take over the whole project. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. But Charles really wants them to create a treasury so that they could use it to fix these 51% attacks. Stuck between a bigger market cap like FTX token and Polka City. Well, just spread it out. I think Polka City, it's a metaverse. I've heard of it. You're buying into like cities, like taxis and stuff like that. I haven't played it. I don't know what it is, but FTX, they're big, just like Crypto.com. But, if you want to put a little bit in Polka City as a small cap and FTX as a big cap, sure. Have you heard of Hero or Everdome? I heard of Hero before. It's virtualizing like something physical into digital, making things NFT, create your own like NFT avatar like that. Right? It's just interesting. It's interesting. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I've said a lot tonight, talked about a lot of projects. But overall, I think Bitcoin's going to have a good week this week. I've been wrong. I know that. But, I have a feeling that Bitcoin coming off of what just happened before, right? I think they're going to have, I think Bitcoin's going to have a recovery week. And overall, the equities market looks good. And you're seeing a lot of money being transferred into exchanges like this one, 52 million that's being transferred in Binance. That's going to be used to buy, okay? That's not going to be used to sell. Obviously, it's going to be used to buy. So I think Bitcoin and overall crypto is probably going to have a good week. But overall, I'm concentrating on the fundamentals, which continue to get stronger and stronger each and every day. So that is why I think there's a lot of bargains right now, good buys right now. And they're worth picking up. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Do you think Varsity is the best decentralized video media? No, Theta is. But Varsity is a distant number 2. Let's just say that. Theta is the best. All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.